Hi Freelancer, welcome to today's episode of the Freelance Blueprint. I'm your host Lisi, a freelance UX designer and digital nomad, and today we're going to talk about something most freelancers don't do enough or don't do well: setting boundaries with your clients. One thing I see time and time again, especially with freelancers who are new to being their own boss, is people treating their clients like royalty. They finally got the client and they're terrified of losing them. So they go above and beyond and over-deliver while being underpaid and often at the expense of their own time and mental health. But here's the thing: your client hired you because they need you. They can't do what you do and they value your expertise. That's why they reached out to you in the first place. So, quick reminder, when you're freelancing, you're not an employee. You're not dependent on that one job, that one salary. You'll most likely have many other gigs to manage. And if not, you'll easily find other gigs. You'll find another client. So don't hang on to the ones that don't respect your boundaries. And trust me, there's always another client. You just need to find them and you need to filter out the ones that are going to cross your boundaries or not pay your invoice on time and all these kind of things. So unlike when you're employed, your client is not your boss. You are the boss. The relationship that you have with your freelance client is a partnership. So picture it like this. If your sink broke, you'd hire a plumber to fix it, right? The plumber can't solve the problem without your cooperation. You are the one who needs to let them in. You are the one who needs to let them know where the main water switch is. But they are the ones who have the expertise. You depend on them. And you need them to fix your problem. And it's the same with freelancing. So in that case, the plumber was the freelancer, you're the client. And basically, you are on the same team. You're working towards the same solution, in that case, to fix the broken sink. It's not that one is better than the other. You're one team. So let's establish that your clients are not this one thing that you need to pamper and run around all the time. Like, in a way, yes, treat your clients well. But if they don't treat you well, why should you treat them well? And you can always find another client. So why do boundaries matter? So again, the beauty of freelancing is that you are your own boss. You set your own hours, your rates, your workload. But if you let your clients run over you, like for example, you instantly reply to every single email, or you jump on an unscheduled call, like they're asking if you're available right now, and you just stop everything you're doing to jump on the call, you will lose control over your time and eventually over your business. So the sooner you learn this, the better. Most clients don't need you to reply instantly as long as the problem gets solved within a reasonable time. So let me tell you what boundaries you need to set and how you can set them. There are a lot of many different types of boundaries that can very easily be crossed. So you need to put them in place early to make sure that your freelance life is as stress-free as possible. One thing that's very, very important to put those boundaries in place is communication. You need to let your clients know what your policies are. Tell them what your usual response times is. For example, you can tell them that you usually reply within 24 hours on weekdays, or that you don't reply on Friday nights or on bank holidays. Make it clear how you prefer to communicate, which channels you want to use. Maybe you'd rather communicate via email, or you prefer things via Slack. Whatever it is, find out what it is that you prefer and make that your main channel to communicate with them. Let clients know your office hours, even if you're freelancing from your living room. Boundaries are very important also about your office hours, because actually, especially when you work from your living room, because otherwise it's very thin lines between work and your private life. And you don't really want your clients to be part of your private life. So, for example, in your initial contract or your welcome email when you start working with them, you have to outline your preferred communication method and your work hours. So if a client messages you outside these times, don't feel like you need to reply, because you've let them know when you're going to be back. You've let them know when you're available. If they do expect you to reply and they follow up several times because you didn't reply, you can just reply once you're back in your office hours and remind them of your policy. It can feel a bit daunting. It can feel very scary, but you have to set those boundaries early on in the client relationship. And trust me, it usually makes the client respect you more and feel like you got your business set up properly, that you're a proper freelancer, and they will realize you're not an employee. Another very, very, very important thing is to set the scope of the work of the project. So you need to define exactly what the project deliverables are, and this has to be in your contract. this has to be in your contract. If the client likes what you deliver, it can happen more often than not that they will ask you to do another thing and another thing. But if you do this one small task, it's time that you can't do to do the actual task they hired you for, or it's time that you can't do things for your other clients. For example, if you're a UX designer, and this happened to me a lot, you agree on designing a website, for example. They might ask you to do a very quick mock-up for social media, or they need you to do a screenshot of something so they can put it into some marketing. And if that wasn't part of your agreed deliverables, you need to decide if you're going to do this extra work or not. If you decide not to, you can tell them that you don't do this type of work. If you want to deliver that, make sure that you charge for it. So for example, you can tell them, I can complete this task by this amount of time. If you need to do it early, you should add a rush fee to that. If they are happy for it to take a little bit longer, it will cost this much extra. And then you'll be surprised how many times your clients will suddenly not need that work. And if they still need it, at least you get some extra cash out of it. But also define the boundary for yourself of what you want to deliver and what you don't. So for example, people often think of UX designers as graphic designers. I'm not a graphic designer. There are some things I can do, especially with AI nowadays, but is it something that you want to do? Because once you deliver it to the client once, they will ask you more of this type of work. And if it's not something that you want to do on a regular basis, you don't do yourself a favor. And often it's easier to narrow down to one main thing that you offer to your clients. So if you stick to websites, for example, if the client asks you for social media assets, it can also confuse them, and maybe they will want to renegotiate your rates because one type of work isn't the same as the other. So if you agree to do those extra things that are not in scope and that are not your expertise, make sure you define for yourself first what the type of work is that you want to offer as a freelancer. And also, if you do any extra work, charge extra for it. And also on that note, create a process for any additional requests. So let clients know that you're open to changes, but extra work costs extra. So another important set of boundaries to establish early is time boundaries. We kind of talked about this already. To give an example, so I don't like to jump on meetings all the time, because for me, when I have to go on a meeting, I don't feel like I can focus on the work. I'm always thinking at the back of my mind, oh, there's this other thing I still need to join today. And I kind of like, I can't, when I focus on design work, I'm in the zone, and it's very distracting for me if I then have to stop whatever I'm doing. Or especially with UX design, when you're trying to solve like some tricky user journey, if you get out of that and then having to get back in, it's just the context switching wastes a lot of energy. So for me, I don't like to be bothered by meetings, like notifications, etc. So I tell my clients when I'm available for meetings, because meetings have to happen. So decline any last minute requests and explain to them that you need to set an amount of notice if they want to work with you. And that you also want to make sure it's for them, it's for their quality of work. And if they want to get their tasks, their project delivered on time, you need that focus time for yourself. So if your client asks for something last minute, remind them of your standard turnaround times. And this helps to stop any, oh, just one more thing, requests in the future. Another set of boundaries that really, really bothers me if clients don't do this is around payment. So you have your deposits in your contract, you have your payments when they deliver to you, etc. That should all be defined in your contract. And it can happen, unfortunately, that your clients don't pay on time. If you agreed in the contract that they pay you at the end of the month, they should pay you at the end of the month, not on the 1st or the 2nd the next month. So if they're paying late, make sure that you add a small late payment fee to the contract. It should be in your policies, it should be in the contract, and you should reinforce it. So as soon as the client is late, add it, even if they're just like 5 hours late, because otherwise they keep doing that. And that's one thing that I really dislike with clients when they don't pay on time, because you have a contract. There are certain deliverables that you agreed that they are going to get within a certain time frame. And as an exchange, they pay you for it. So you do your share of the contract, they should do theirs. And part of it is to pay you on time. So make sure that you have that in your contract. And also, you can avoid awkward situations by sending them a reminder email before payment is due. So what I usually do is I have automated emails, and this is part of the systems that we discussed in episodes last week. But basically, you send them an email 1 or 2 days before the invoice is due, and you just send them a friendly reminder that it's due, if it has been scheduled, and if they have any questions or issues about the invoice. And then sometimes it happens that they just pay it there and then. So that will make it a little bit less awkward, and it's also good for them to know, because sometimes clients are busy. It can happen that you forget things. So yeah, set those boundaries, make it clear that there's a late payment fee, make it clear that if they don't pay on time, just add that late payment fee. Another thing that's such a luxury of freelancing, and I know many employed like office jobs also offer that, where you can work remotely and you can be location independent, but it's also not that common. So maybe you can work from home, but they want you in the office Mondays and Fridays or something like that. So the luxury of freelancing is, again, you are the boss. You can work from anywhere. You can work from home. You can go to a coffee shop or even to another country like I'm doing. But your client cannot demand from you as a freelancer that you have to come to their office from 9 to 5, unless you both agree on that in advance. But it's your choice whether you work on site or not. Unless, of course, your freelance type of work requires you to go there. Like again, if you're the plumber, you have to go there. You can't fix a sink remotely. Like maybe one day we can do that with technology. But yeah, it's perfectly okay to say, I'm working remotely and I'll be available on emails and you can schedule calls, but you don't have to go to the office all the time. Unless you want to. If you enjoy that, like some clients that I worked for were some marketing agencies and they have amazing offices. They have lunch spots. They have a huge garden. They have ergonomic chairs, all this kind of stuff. So if you want to go, but also make it clear to the client that it's for you to decide if you want to go and not them. Another important boundary, and it's again about communication, is about feedback. How do you deliver your work and how do you want them to deliver the feedback? Because it's very hard, especially with a new client, to get things done and right the first round. There will be some tweaks, there will be some misunderstandings. So you need to make sure that the client knows how to give you the feedback so you can then deliver what they need from you. And think of it again with the plumber. The plumber doesn't know where the pipes are. They can't fix the sink. So you need to tell them where those things are. So the client also needs to let you know where the things are that you need. So they need to guide you in the right direction if maybe it wasn't on brand or maybe the tonality isn't quite right, things like that. And let the clients know how to give you that feedback, if you prefer it via a Loom video, if you want them to comment directly in your Word document or Figma file, or if you prefer that you hop on a call with that. Define how you want the feedback and also in what time. Because sometimes clients delay their own projects because they are a little bit uncomfortable giving feedback. And they then push it away because they don't want to tell you, oh, I don't actually like what you designed, or, oh, this doesn't really work for us. And then several days pass and the project just won't get delivered on time, or you end up stressing so much because you just don't know if they like what you've done or if it's good for their needs and things like that. So make sure that you give them a form, some information, how you want that feedback and also within what time. So what I usually tell clients is, here is the first round. If you have any feedback, let me know within 48 hours. If you don't give me that feedback within the time frame or let me know that it's going to be delayed, I'm going to consider this as signed off, and then you move on to the next stage of the project. So it's very important that you clearly state when you consider something as signed off, and also to give them the chance. And similar to the heads up with late invoices or with when the invoice is coming up, you can give them a heads up when those 48 hours for your feedback time is up. That you can tell them, please let me know if you're happy with this so we can continue to the next stage to not delay the project any further. And another set of boundaries that's very important, and I kind of like to do this one because it's not as hard work to set this boundary, is your time off boundary. So even when you're a freelancer, it's important to have time off. When you're on holiday, let your clients know way in advance that you're going to go on holiday. And I personally, I mute all my notifications. Actually, I delete my work apps. I delete Slack from my phone. I delete my emails from work. It's important that you let your clients know that you're going to be away. And to also give them a frequently asked questions spreadsheet, because they will have questions when you're gone. Give them a Loom video where you talk through where things are in your file system, and in the hand of things so that they can find whatever it is that they might need when you're gone. This makes sure that you have a stress-free holiday, and also it allows your clients to prepare. They can also manage themselves sometimes. Yeah. So those are the main boundaries that you need to set with your clients. Again, set them as early as possible. And it's not just about protecting your time, it's about respecting your work and establishing yourself as a professional. You're a freelancer, you're your business, you're your own entrepreneur. And it's very important that you communicate all of those things with your clients. This way you can build trust, you build respect, and you can build a good long-term partnership with them. That's it for today's episode. I hope this was useful. I hope that you managed to set those boundaries with your clients. And again, the earlier you set them in your relationship with the client, the better, the easier it's going to be to also maintain them. And sometimes they will just need a nudge. Like, they will eventually cross your boundaries, but it's also up to you to say, this is the line, you crossed it, go back to your side, I concentrate on my side, and this will then lead to a more stress-free client relationship. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review and share it with anyone you think can benefit from listening. And that's all from me, and I can't wait to have you join again next week. Bye.